Thanks for joining us today. We're going to discuss an interesting report that has to do with the Ocklawaha River, and joining me today is Senior Vice President Bob Nave on that. Bob, I know that you recently issued this report, A River No Longer Runs Through It, the Ocklawaha River Restoration, and folks might be wondering a little bit about that issue and why it matters to us. Give us some background.
Yeah, this project is originally part of the Cross Florida Barge Canal. And although the origins can be traced back to the days of the Spanish conquistadors, the modern history starts with President Roosevelt's New Deal in 1935. At the time, the country was coming out of the Great Recession. Unemployment was hovering around the 25% mark, and the idea of a massive construction project that created a lot of jobs and spent a lot of money was appealing. So the original intent was for a ship canal that would start at the St. Johns, go down the St. Johns River, and then cut across the state to the Gulf of Mexico. The project was authorized, but no money was appropriated for it. In World War II, the concept changed a little bit. The shift was from a ship canal to a barge canal, something that would permit petroleum to be transferred from the refineries in the Gulf Coast to the Atlantic coast. But again, no money was appropriated for it. So in 1964, Congress appropriated money for the project and construction began. In 1971, thanks to the efforts of some environmental activists, President Nixon pulled the plug on the project. And by that point, the Rodman Dam and the reservoir behind the dam had already been completed. So in 1994, St. Johns River Water Management District did a report looking at four options for the dam and the reservoir. One option was to do nothing. The second option was to reduce the levels of water in the reservoir behind the dam. A third option was to partially restore the natural flow of the Ocklawaha River by breaching the dam. And then the fourth option was just take everything out, put it back to original pre-construction conditions. So the Water Management District report to the Department of Environmental Protection recommended the partial restoration issue. And that issue went to the governor and cabinet in 1995. The governor and cabinet approved the partial restoration issue. And since then, nothing's been done.
You know, I'm glad you went all the way back on that history, because those of us in Florida that know this northeast quadrant of the state understand the debates that have been going on for quite some time. Anybody in the public policy arena knows that the Rodman Dam, or the Kirkpatrick Dam now as it's called, has come up as an issue. But the question's kind of being called again now because safety is coming into play at the moment. They're going to have to make some decisions soon on this dam. I know that you look back at the original reports, and your report is actually making some recommendations. So what are the options that we're considering and the recommendation that we're proposing?
Well, TaxWatch looked at two options, and the public policy debate really focuses on whether the dam should stay in its current shape or restore the natural flow through a partial restoration. And what we found was that, you know, when you look at the recreational impacts, whether the dam stays in its current state or not, fishing, hiking, kayaking, camping, those types of activities are going to remain regardless of which option is pursued. The environmental options, when the dam was constructed, 7,500 acres and about 16 miles of the Ocklawaha River were turned into a lake, essentially. And it has become the source of some really, really good bass fishing. There are a lot of tournaments down there. A large part of the economies of Merriam and Putnam County depend on revenues that are generated from that recreational area. And then we looked at the economic impacts of it. And the state essentially is in the position of having to fish or cut bait on this. The normal life expectancy of an earthen dam like this is about 50 years. So this dam is probably past its normal life expectancy. There are some leaks and some issues with the dam that require some repairs and then a commitment to maintain the dam. But the real risk is if the dam were to fail. There are a considerable number of downstream residential and private properties that would be subject to some pretty serious flooding if the dam were to breach. Overall, currently the economies of Marion and Putnam County depend on the recreational activities. It generates about $28 million a year in revenues. So again, the issue is, does the state maintain the dam, which would require probably anywhere from $4 to $14 million in repairs, and then a commitment of about $250,000 to $300,000 a year to maintain the dam. The other option, again, the cost of breaching the dam and partially restoring the Ocklawaha, those costs are estimated about, again, at about $28 million, but over a 10-year period. And the economists have estimated that investment would generate about $47 million in return, or a return on investment of about $1.76 for every dollar invested. So TaxWatch looked at it, and again, we think what is a good idea in 1994 is a good idea in 2022. Our report recommended that the legislature appropriate funds to breach the dam and partially restore the natural flow of the Ocklawaha.
Bob, thanks so much. I know that was summarized in the report, and if somebody'd like to review that report, it's available on our research page at floridataxwatch.org. That's floridataxwatch.org, and you can look up the Ocklawaha report. So there are some next steps in this. It doesn't look like the legislature is going to be acting this year on it because we're pretty close to the end of the session, but this debate's not going away, is it?
I don't see it going away. And one of the points that we brought out in our report is the timing of this. It's a good time to look at this issue because through the Infrastructure Investment and Job Act, Florida is scheduled to get a considerable amount of money for infrastructure improvements. And using some of that money to breach the dam and make the improvements necessary to restore that flow, it would be consistent with the anticipated use of those monies.
So the safety and the federal dollars that might be coming in for infrastructure, as well as the economic impacts, are all interesting questions, and I'm looking forward to seeing over the next few months. Bob, let me just thank you. I appreciate the extra work that you've been doing to take on some of these environmental issues. Obviously, Florida Tax Watch cares about economic impacts and how all these items play together into Florida's future and current day economic impacts, and your leadership is greatly appreciated. So thanks for this. And if somebody'd like to read the report, they can go to floridataxwatch.org. Any final words, Bob?
No, if anyone reads the report and has questions, I can be reached at Florida Tax Watch, 850-222-5052.
Interesting topic, and it's not the last time we hear about this. We've been talking about it since 1994 going forward on what the next steps are, and hopefully it's not going to be another 20 or 30 years before we make the decision. It would be a damn shame, as you said in your report, Bob, and thank you so much for all the puns in that paper too. So
strike a blow for cleverness.